Red lights flashed across my console before I even understood why. My ship's sensors screamed a warning so sharp that my hands froze over the controls. Something inside the human station had just triggered a biological alert at the highest level my systems could register. My name is Voss, and I had been assigned to watch this small orbital outpost called Haven Station for exactly 11 days. Nothing about those 11 days had prepared me for what my instruments were telling me now. I pulled up the feed instantly. A young human girl sat alone at a metal table in a small dining room. Her name tag, visible through the station's internal camera, read Ellie Marsh. She could not have been older than 10 years. In front of her sat a tray of food, and my sensors were reading that food as one of the most dangerous combinations of chemicals I had ever detected on any world. My hands trembled slightly as I magnified the image. She lifted a piece of bread to her mouth, calm as anything, while my scanner flooded with warnings about acid levels, bacterial content, and toxic plant compounds. I had seen soldiers hesitate before walking into a war zone. I had seen seasoned pilots pause before flying through an asteroid field, but this child did not pause even once. I called my commander immediately, my voice unsteady. I told her that a human child was about to consume something my instruments classified as an active threat to life. My commander, a calm and experienced officer named Priya, asked me to describe exactly what I was seeing. I explained everything, word by word, as the girl continued eating without a single sign of worry. Priya went silent for a moment, then told me something that shocked me even more than the readings themselves. She said this was not the first time such a report had come in. Other observers stationed near human settlements had sent similar warnings over the past few months. Every single time, the humans survived without any visible harm. I asked her how that was possible. She admitted she did not know, and that was the most unsettling answer of all. I turned back to my screen just in time to see the girl reach for a small red fruit and bite into it whole. My sensors registered a spike in natural chemical irritants strong enough to cause severe reactions in most species cataloged in our records. She chewed calmly, her expression unreadable, then reached for a cup of dark liquid and drank it in one long gulp. The readings on that liquid alone were enough to make my chest tighten with worry. I began recording every second of it, my mind racing to understand what I was witnessing. A boy sat down across from her, his name tag reading Noah Fielding. He glanced at her tray and laughed, then pulled out a small packet from his pocket. He poured its contents over his own food, and my sensors spiked again, this time even higher than before. Whatever was inside that packet was strong enough to register as a controlled hazard on several worlds I had studied. Ellie watched him eat it and grinned, then said something that made him laugh harder. I could not translate the exact words, but the tone was clear. It was a challenge. It was a dare, and he was accepting it without a shred of fear. I sat frozen at my station, torn between horror and confusion. Every part of me expected them to collapse, to cough, to call for help. Instead, they kept talking, kept laughing, kept eating, as if nothing dangerous was happening at all. My scanners continued to flash amber and red, yet the two children in front of me showed no distress whatsoever. I contacted Priya again, my voice sharper this time. I told her I believed we were witnessing something beyond simple recklessness. She asked me to explain, and I found myself struggling for the right words. I told her it did not look like carelessness. It looked like something these humans had trained themselves to do, over and over, until danger became something ordinary. She asked me to keep watching and report anything unusual. I almost laughed at that instruction, because everything I was seeing felt unusual, but I understood her meaning. She wanted patterns, not panic. So I kept watching. Over the following hours, I widened my observation across the entire dining hall. What I found only deepened my confusion. An older man near the back of the room poured a thick red substance over his meal that registered on my scanners as capable of damaging soft tissue on contact. He ate it without hesitation, occasionally wiping his forehead where sweat had formed, Yet he kept smiling the entire time. A group of young adults nearby were passing around a jar of something my sensors labeled as a live bacterial culture, deliberately left to change over time. They ate spoonfuls of it and called it delicious. My translation system struggled to process the word they used, because it seemed to carry both disgust and enjoyment at the same time. Everywhere I looked, humans were consuming things that should have caused serious harm, yet nothing happened. No alarms sounded within the station. No medical staff rushed to help anyone. It was as if this level of danger was simply part of their daily life, so common that it barely registered as risk to them at all. I began cross-referencing historical data from other observation posts. Reports mentioned the same pattern again and again: humans eating substances that would incapacitate other species within seconds, yet walking away unharmed, sometimes even laughing about it afterward. One report described an entire competition where humans intentionally ate the most dangerous food they could find, cheering each other on as their eyes watered and their faces turned red. I found this behavior deeply confusing at first. My training taught me that every species avoids unnecessary danger whenever possible. Yet here was a species that seemed to invite it, name it, and celebrate it. I wondered if this was some kind of test of strength, a way to prove courage among their peers. Then I noticed something in Ellie's actions that shifted my understanding completely. After finishing her meal, she did not appear proud or boastful. She simply gathered her tray, said a quiet word to Noah, and walked off toward her classroom, as if nothing remarkable had happened at all. There was no ceremony, no display of bravery. It was simply lunch to her, nothing more. That was the moment everything clicked into place for me. This was not about proving anything. It was not a performance for others to admire. It was a simple, quiet acceptance of risk as part of everyday life. Humans had grown up surrounded by soil that could poison them, plants that could harm them, and animals that could turn deadly if handled wrong. Instead of retreating from all of that danger, they had spent generations learning to live alongside it, season it, and even enjoy it. I sent a full report to Priya that evening, explaining everything I had seen and everything I now believed. I told her our previous assessments of human vulnerability were incomplete. We had measured their biology as fragile because so many ordinary things could theoretically harm them. What we failed to measure was their relationship with that fragility. They did not fear it the way other species did. They faced it daily, turned it into something familiar, and moved on with their lives without a second thought. Priya read my report twice before responding. She told me this matched growing concerns among the higher council, who were beginning to question whether humans should be approached with caution or genuine respect. I told her I believed respect was the only reasonable choice. A species that faces daily risk without fear, without hesitation, and without needing anyone to witness their bravery, was not reckless at all. They were simply used to it in a way none of us had ever considered. Weeks passed, and I continued watching Haven Station from a careful distance. I saw children daring each other with spicy snacks during recess. I saw adults sharing strange fermented drinks during quiet evenings, laughing about how strong the taste was. I saw an elderly woman calmly handling food that would have required protective equipment on my homeworld, treating it as nothing more than an afternoon snack. Each time, I expected panic. Each time, I found only calm familiarity. I began to understand that humans measured danger differently than we did. For them, danger was not something to avoid at all costs. It was something to understand, respect, and sometimes even embrace in small doses, until it became a normal part of daily living. It was not fearlessness in the way I first assumed. It was something quieter and, in many ways, far more impressive. It was comfort built through repeated experience, generation after generation, until what once could harm them became something they now controlled entirely on their own terms. My final report to the council included a simple recommendation. I suggested that any future contact with humans should begin not with caution about their fragility, but with curiosity about their resilience. I explained that their tolerance was not luck or accident. It was the result of thousands of years spent learning to live beside danger instead of running from it. I still watch Haven Station whenever my duties allow it. I still see Ellie Marsh walking to her classes, and Noah Fielding challenging his friends to try something new and fiery during lunch. Nothing about their behavior looks reckless to me anymore. It looks like quiet strength, practiced so often that it no longer needs to be noticed at all. When the council finally votes on whether to reveal ourselves to humanity, I already know how I will respond. I have watched enough to understand that this is a species worth approaching with genuine respect, not fear. And it all began with something as simple as watching a young girl eat her lunch.